Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I am talking about 3 things that I do not agree with Dave Ramsey on. No, this is not a clickbait video. I actually do not agree 100% with Dave Ramsey on a few things, which is okay. I don't know many people that actually agree with him on every single one of his teachings. He does have a lot of great information and things that he talks about. His debt snowball is amazing. Getting on a budget is perfect. But there are just some things that I don't necessarily agree with, or I agree with, but I just would kind of alter it a little bit. And I think that would help more people stay on the debt-free bandwagon and would actually get out of debt. I think the reason why so many people are not successful in all of this Dave Ramsey stuff is because of some of his teachings. So I'm going to give y'all 3 of my things that I do not agree with. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the $1,000 emergency fund. I've talked about this before in videos past, but I do not agree that you need to have $1,000 in your emergency fund. I think you need to have more, or actually, if you feel like $1,000 is fine for you, then by all means do $1,000. But there are some people like me who I just knew I have medical stuff. So if I knew that if I had something medically related come up, it would be more than $1,000 just through tests and blood work and going to the doctor and co-pays and stuff. It would be more than $1,000. So I decided up front, you know what, our emergency fund is going to be bigger than $1,000. And that's not saying that Dave Ramsey is wrong on that it should be $1,000. It's just what was right for me. And I know he does say stuff like, no, only do $1,000, don't do any more than that, because that extra money could have gone to debt. And you are correct, he is correct. It could have gone to debt, but it gave me not only peace of mind, but it also kept us out of getting more into debt when I ended up getting diagnosed with celiac disease and had to get an endoscopy done and had to get tons of blood work done and had to keep going and seeing the doctor. Like, we would have had to go into debt if I did not already have that money set aside. So, not saying that it's a wrong thing to have $1,000 in your savings account. If you feel perfectly comfortable with that and you're just like, honestly, that feels a little too much for me even, then that's fine. But there are some people out there who have emailed me and commented and just said, I'm just not comfortable with only having $1,000. Then by all means, save a little more and put a little bit more in there. You need to have peace of mind. You're the one that's getting out of debt, not Dave Ramsey. He already has a ton of money. So this is something that you need to do for you. So the second thing that I do not agree with him on is joint bank accounts. And so I've talked about this in a few videos in the past, but my husband and I do not have a joint bank account, or we do not have just one bank account. So I have a checking account and he has a checking account. When I get paid, it goes into my checking account. When he gets paid, it goes into his checking account, or it goes into his checking account. That is not to say that his money is his and my money is mine. That is not what we're saying. That's just what has always worked for us. We have done this from the get-go. As soon as we got married, this is what we did. It has just worked for us, especially since we have always, or not always, but for the most part, we have always lived off my husband's income. So all of the money that he has made has gone into his checking account, and that's where all of our bills have come out. That's where the mortgage came out, the rent came out, groceries, everything came out of that account. And my paycheck went into my checking account, and that was always put into savings, basically. Before we started Dave Ramsey, and when I had student loans and all that kind of stuff, we lived in Dallas, and I made decent money because I worked for a CPA. And instead of putting it towards debt, like I kept telling myself I would, I ended up just putting it into savings instead. And so I built up our savings pretty quickly, and it was a really nice savings account that got completely depleted when we moved to where we live now, but that's a whole nother story. But anyways, all that money went to that, and then my paycheck also went towards when we did something fun. It would go to, we both are book readers, so we would pay, it would go towards buying books, it would go towards traveling, it would go towards clothes, stuff like that, more fun stuff. So we have just always done that. I had talked to my husband about, like, I think maybe we should just get one checking account, because that's what Dave highly recommends everybody doing. And we just like couldn't make it work in our heads. We're like, I feel like we're so used to the way it is now, and it works for us clearly, like we're debt free, that I could not put all of our money into one account, because it would make me think we had more money than we did. And I just feel like it would be just too much. I don't know, it's really hard to explain, but I do want people to know out there, like, you do not have to go strictly by the book with Dave Ramsey. Do what works for you. If you guys are already separate and it's working, then keep it separate. If putting it together is what you need to do, then put it together by all means. Whatever is going to get you out of debt is what you want to do. If you have joint and it's not, or if you have separate and it's not working, then maybe try joint. Or if you have joint and it's just not working, try separating it or just getting an extra checking account. It is just, I don't know. It's just worked for us, and they are technically joint checking accounts. Like, I have access to my husband's account. Like, I have a debit card for it. I can get online and I can see his account. He can do the exact same thing with mine. But like, our main cards are for our own account. So like, my main debit card that I use is to my checking account. It's not to his. He uses his debit card to his checking account. So I don't know. It's just what has worked for us. And I just want to make sure you guys know that you need to do what is best for you. And so the third thing that I disagree with Dave Ramsey on is the whole rice and beans thing. I have talked about this before in one of my videos, but basically, so the way I got my husband on board was basically he needed an incentive to stay on budget. He needed to not feel like he was being deprived of his fun, basically. So what we did, because I feel like your budget needs to be realistic, first of all. I've said that a lot, but your budget needs to be real life. Yes, you can cut everything else down. You can cut everything else out and go strictly to rice and beans and everything go towards debt. You can do that, and there are people who do that, and they are amazing, but I knew that would not be sustainable to us. It would not work. My husband would not stay on board if he was being deprived of things he wanted to do. And I knew he'd be fine with scaling down a bit. Like, so we just love to travel. He loves to go and just see new places and do new things and stuff like that. So I put into our budget a little bit of extra money that allowed us to go do different things. I would try to find cheap things to do around us, but they still cost money. And yes, that money could have gone towards our debt, and we could have gotten out of debt probably sooner than we did, but we also may not have gotten out of debt at all if we had not done that. Does that make sense? So I'm not saying budget $500 a month to, fly somewhere. That's not what I'm saying. We did like just an overnight weekend trip somewhere. We would do like an Airbnb as cheap as we could, or we would just do a day trip, just something to break the monotony of constantly thinking about saving money and putting it towards debt and all that kind of stuff. It gets really, really tiresome. And we only did it for a year and a half. So I cannot imagine some of you who are doing this for years, like sustaining that for 5 years or however long, that is really, really hard. And I don't want people to get discouraged and not get out of debt because they couldn't do it because they just needed to buy something, So I definitely advise having play money or just setting some money aside to do something fun every once in a while. We did like once a month or so, maybe a little more often than that, just so we did not feel deprived of what we were doing, but we were still making progress on our debt. So the majority of my money went to the debt, but we just still were able to get out and do something a little bit different and not feel so deprived of everything. So I'm not against doing that. Like, I'm not against going the beans and rice route and going as cheaply as you possibly can and every extra cent going to that. I'm not opposed to that. I'm just saying this is what worked for us, and it's okay if that doesn't work for you. I'm not a Dave Ramsey hater or anything. I just think some of the things I disagree with, and I want other people to be aware that it's okay to disagree. And if you feel like you could get out of debt, but you just can't sustain some of them, or if you're just a little uncomfortable with some of the things, it's okay to move things around to make it work for you. Like I said earlier, this is your debt. This is what you're doing for your life. So make it work for you. I would follow as closely as you could to his teachings and his baby steps and stuff like that. But it is not a horrible thing if you need to move things around, or if you're just like, you know what, we need to like get out of town for a weekend. Like it's for our own sanity. You know what I'm saying? Like it is okay to do that kind of stuff. But if you have any comments or if you hate me for doing this video, leave that down below. I would love to answer any questions you guys may have. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.